Well, hello there and welcome back to the HullCityFanCentral YouTube channel, where today I do have all of the news stories breaking out of Hull City in the past few days. A few more notes worthy of success for Hull City, so we'll dive straight into it. First of all, we'll go through the fact that the Hull City Player of the Month for January has been announced, and it's none other than Matty Jacobs. Yes, Matty Jacobs had a fantastic January. He got his first team debut, his home debut, a goal, and was a real light of shining armour at that left-back spot when we really needed him. Obviously, Ryan Giles in now, but Matty Jacobs is still in contention for that left-back spot, and he's done a fantastic job at him. He's one of our own, Hull lad, following in the same footsteps as his grandfather did. Nice to see. So we'll go on to a bit of other left-back news in essence. Brandon Fleming. Yes, Brandon Fleming has been recalled from his loan over at Shrewsbury, and it's because Rosinia is absolutely fuming due to the way that Shrewsbury Town have treated him. Obviously, Brandon Fleming over the past 2 seasons, it seems, he's been a bit of an injury trouble. Obviously picked up an injury at the start of last season, was left out of majority of last season, only really made a few appearances before going out on loan in the second half of last season. This season he was forecast to go out on loan for the full season to Shrewsbury Town, picked up an injury somewhere in about October, November time, and hasn't featured for Shrewsbury Town since, and Rosinia has brought him back to Hull City, looking for us to treat him better than Shrewsbury have. A bit of an upsetting one, really, considering he's not going to get the game time at Hull City, and he needs that development if he wants to develop into a player worthy of contention. Of course, you think back to a few seasons ago, he was the starting left-back for Hull City. He was the man that everyone was like, okay, he's the next academy prospect that's going to go on far, going to go and do well, going to do big things for either the club that he's at now or a club at a similar level. And it just seems that it seems to have derailed a little bit due to injury and then due to a bit of poor management through parts over at Shrewsbury. And then also, in essence, some of the stuff that's been going on at Hull, not in a negative aspect, it's just mainly because he has, the club has got into a far better situation than what it was a few seasons ago. A few happy birthdays, and it's a few happy birthdays for the two young shining lights. Of course, one of them being injured, Liam Delap and Jaden Philogene. It's both of their birthdays today. I think that's quite ironic considering that they both got brought in the summer. Both of them have been fantastic this season, and they share a birthday. So happy birthday to both Philogene and Delap. Right, we'll crack on to the big story from today, or the past few days, and that is, will Jaden Philogene leave Hull City in the summer? So, the main point is not a yes or a no, because we don't know. Any player could leave in the summer. We don't know. If the right price comes in for them, say a £50 million bid comes in for Jaden Philogene, I hardly think that Adrian is going to go, no. We would like to keep him, please. He's £50 million for a player that we bought for £5 million. That's a £45 million profit. That is immense. But it's a bit of a weird one. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, it's like he's like a lone player that we've bought because obviously of that buyback clause with Villa. But there was a bit of reiteration coming through from Tan Kesler, and that being that the buyback clause stands at £15 million if we were to make it to the Premier League. But then, if there is still other clubs in the offering, so if there's Tottenham was putting in a £20 million bid, Villa would have to match that fee, or it's void. The buyback clause is void. So we could, in essence, try and negotiate some sort of bidding war. This is a mastermind plan if it happens. Negotiate some sort of bidding war if we do make it to the Premier League next season. And negotiate some bidding war to then thwart off Villa's buyback clause, and then obviously we don't necessarily have to. I believe we don't necessarily have to sell him to whatever the other clubs is that are putting in the bid. So it's an interesting one that it does make it sound a bit more of a solid case that Philogene will look to become a Tiger a bit more beyond this season. Of course, he is a Tiger permanently. He is on the contracts for the remainder of this season, next season, and I believe the season afterwards. So, yeah, a lot of people saying, oh, Philogene, love him, but he's going to go at the end of the season, isn't he? Villa are going to buy him back. Not necessarily. Of course, even if the club don't make it up to the Premier League, then we do have the thing of Philogene is safe no matter what, because the buyback clause only comes into effect if we were to make it to the Premier League. So that's lovely. I do think it is an interesting situation to have a look at. Of course, not knowing the full scale of the behind the scenes with Philogene and with that deal, it's a bit of an interesting one to sort of have a little scoop, a little nosy into. It's a bit of an interesting one, I must say. And then the final story that I'll finish us off with today, and it's a big one. I possibly would say it's bigger than Philogene remaining a Tiger. And that is Seri and the Ivory Coast have made it to the African Cup of Nations final. Yes, Jean-Michel Seri will most likely, or not, I won't say most likely, but on Sunday we'll find out if he is an African champion. Yes, he played 61 minutes in the 1-0 win over Dominican Republic of Congo last night in the semi-finals. Of course, Ivory Coast won that game. They go through to the final, which I believe will be played on Sunday. So we'll keep you up to date on all things surrounding that game, surrounding Seri. Of course, Adama Traore is on his way back to Hull City after getting knocked out from the Ivory Coast in the quarterfinals. But I know how much this means to Seri. I know how much this means to his entire family and to the Ivory Coast. And it would be an amazing thing if we could say that we have a CDM that is an African champion in our squad. In a championship squad, no matter what, that is a big statement. But for the levels that we want to go to say that we do have the quality of an African champion who has put in some very, very strong performances in the knockout stages for Ivory Coast, it is a huge thing. So hopefully he gets minutes in the final. I'm not sure if we know who they're playing in the final yet. I presume we do. I'm not fully aware. But I'm sure that Ivory Coast can go out there. And no matter what, Seri's getting a medal of some kind. So best of luck to Seri over, and of course the Ivory Coast over in the finals at African Cup of Nations. Before I finish us off, my Jaden Philogene merch has arrived, so that's lovely. Nice bit of Jaden Philogene merch, good quality. I think there's limited stock, so if you want to go and get some, hop over to Tiger Leisure website or in store. I believe I have it in store as well. Get yourself some merch because it's quite nice, and it's nice to have actual player specific merch finally. So it's a nice one, that. So make sure you like and subscribe, so we'll have plenty more Hull City news and content. I'll have my prediction video out tomorrow ahead of Hull City versus Swansea. Make sure you go and follow me over on Twitter to get live up to date on everything Hull City, and up the Tigers. Go on!